Video, I'm going to show you the number one mistake people make when handicapping the NFL. It is also a very common mistake I see many sharps make, and it absolutely drives me crazy. My name is MGCovers. Welcome to the channel. Greatly appreciate you watching this video. If you're looking for some additional content in addition to my YouTube channel, if you follow me on Instagram, we have something called Free Fridays. I give out all my lines for all sports. That has had winning Fridays the last 3 Fridays in a row. We also added UFC picks on Thursday night. We give out one free UFC pick. That is cashed the last 2 weeks. So just follow me on Instagram. You get a ton of value. And also we put a ton of content on my story related to sports handicapping. So if you want to improve, get better at this business, follow me on Instagram, and there's a link in the description box. All right, let's dive into this. This is something I'm very passionate about. I love handicapping the NFL, even though it is very difficult to be successful in it long term. All right, so what you're looking at, this is a back test I ran. I have 2 models that I back tested for the upcoming year, and both were very profitable. Just to explain what you're looking at, this is the 2023 season. We back tested it for both seasons. I'll show you that. Wins, losses, units, whether we won or not. And then you come all the way down to the bottom, and these are the results, which I'll show you now. For 2023, the model went 39.27 up plus 9.4 units. And there's a reason I'm explaining this, because as it sits, I've included the mistake that people make, and then I'm going to correct it, is why I'm showing you the units so you can see the correction and the impact it has. All right, and this was for 2022. Not as profitable, but still profitable, and very difficult to turn large to get, say, 20 plus units in NFL, and that's grading one play, 1 unit, because you just don't have a big sample size. You can see here roughly 75 games, still profitable, plus 4.18 units, which is about a 5% yield. This other one for 2023 produced a 13% yield or ROI. Now, this is very fascinating. Before I show you the changes we're going to make, I want to ask you a question. Teams that win teams that cover in the NFL, what percentage times do they win outright? And I'll ask that question again. Of the teams that cover in the NFL, how many times do they win outright? The answer to that question is teams that win in the NFL cover 80% of the time. And you can also say it backwards. Teams that win outright, teams that cover, also win outright 80% of the time. So the secret and the mistake that people make is they take the points on the spread, when in actuality they should play all of those games on the money line. Okay, and let's look at some proof. So let's go to yesterday preseason, and I just want to show you. We'll go through all these. So and this is what we call a statistical property. And if you're new, a statistical property, that's a term that I came up with. You won't hear other people use it. It's basically a fact about that sport. So it's just a fancy word for facts about that sport. So teams that win and cover. And what I mean by that, Baltimore, you can see here, minus 2.5. They won but did not cover, so we're 0-1. Now here, Houston is minus 1.5. We're 1-1 now. And now I'm just going to roll through these rather fast. So 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, 8-1, 9-1, 10-1, 11-1, 12-1. So teams that won and covered in the NFL, teams that won in the NFL also covered 80% of the times, and teams that covered won outright more than 80% of the time, right? So the application of that is you don't need the points in the NFL. So all of the spreads that are plus, you should play those on the money line. Now, the only exception to that would be a +1 spread. because on a +1 spread, more times than not, if you go to the money line, on a +1 spread is -110. If you play that on the money line, more times than not, it's probably going to be a juice money line. Sometimes it might be -105, -107. So that would be the only exception. So the secret and the mistake people make, again, take those spreads and play those on the money line. So we'll actually show you some application of this. And this is absolutely mind-blowing. And I want you to remember that now. We're at 39 and 27 up plus 9.4 units. So what I'm going to do is, instead of taking the points on all of the dogs, I'm going to play all of those on the money line. And let's make all this white so that you can see it. Whoops. Fill color should be white. There we go. Okay. So, for example, and again, I'll just make this real simple so you can understand it. So in this situation here, Houston, instead of taking the points, we played them on the money line. The money line was +130. We win that one, so we win 1.3 units. Now, there's also an ancillary benefit to this as well. Look at this New England game here during week 4. If we play New England taking the points and we lose, and I'm going to assume -110 juice. Obviously, you should try to get the best possible line, but we're just going to use -110 as the juice for a spread, just to make it simple. You would be down -1.1 units. If you played them on the money line, you'd be only down -1 unit, because the money line, there's no juice, right? So if it's +120, you lose, you're down 1 unit. So you actually save money on the losses. And the reason that's important, because what is the statistical fact about NFL? If the team wins, they're going to cover 80% of the time, right? So if New England loses here, and they actually did, there's only a 20% chance they're going to cover. And in this case, that's exactly what happened. So I want to show you these money lines here. We had 10. We had a total of 12. 1.3 we win, 2.07. And I'm not showing the losses. I'm just going to show you the wins. And there's a reason for that. 3.37 wins, 2.68 win, 1.76 win, 3.17, that was a win, 2.11. We won 2.1, 1.42. And then we won another one at 1.88. So now check this out. This is absolutely mind-blowing. So instead of taking all those games, taking the points, if instead we play all of those games on the money line, instead of 9.4 units, we would be up 18.46 units. Mind-blowing, right? Absolutely incredible. Now, to back that up, just so you can see it in real time, of those games that we played on the money line, how many times did the team lose but cover? Because that would be a case for taking the points, right? Again, I'm going to repeat that. How many times did we play a money line team and they did not win, but they covered? Guess what, folks? Twice. That's it, twice. So we had a total of, let's count this up real quick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12. So we played, of our wins, we won outright 10 times, but only twice out of 12 times was it advantageous to take those teams taking the points. All right, and we'll take a look at 2022 because you'll see some big changes here as well. I did the same thing again. My apologies there. So it went from 4.8 units all the way up to 7.96 units gained. And all we did, instead of taking the points, we played those teams on the money line. Now, I want to get into one why so many people make this mistake. It's because nobody has really done the research, and the reason why statistical properties are so important. If you are wagering on totals in MLB, you have to know the average number of points scored in a Major League Baseball game. If you're going to wager totals in any sport, you have to know what the average is. If you're wagering baseball and you're wagering on sides, how many times does the dog win outright in Major League Baseball? All of those are statistical properties, because if you don't know the statistical properties of sports, you're going to end up not making as much money, or it could be the difference between a winning season and a losing season. And let me show you where you can actually find statistical properties of a sport. So here we are at covers.com, really good resource. If you look at MLB and go over here to league trends, and this is what I call statistical properties. For example, favorites in Major League Baseball, this is actually down a little bit. They usually win close to 67% of the time. Now it's 57%. Dogs usually win about 40%. Dogs are up slightly at 43%. That's what I call a statistical property. And again, going back to the premise of this whole video, a statistical property of the NFL is when a team wins, they cover 80% of the time. And teams that cover win outright 80% of the time. So it's very simple, folks. If you want to improve your handicapping, you need to not take the points and play those teams on the money line. Now, because you stuck around to the end of this video, you're going to get an extra tip. So if you look, let me show you here to let's go back to 2023. This is another thing that I did, not related to this video, but can still help you with your handicapping. Don't play weeks 17 and 18. And also, if you notice, this model didn't start until week 4 because we have to get some stats. So weeks 1, 2, and 3, we're accumulating stats. And then weeks 4 through 16, we're going to play. If we omit weeks 17 and 18, we go from 18.46 units up to 18.78 units. And look what happened to 2022. Instead of playing week 17 and 18, we just no play those and don't have any plays. We end up with 12.47 units. So you take 12.4 units plus 18. We end up with about 31 units for the 2 seasons combined. Hope this video gave you a ton of value, can help you in your handicapping. If you want access to these NFL lines, you're going to be able to get that starting in week 4. We're also going to have NCAA lines this weekend. And currently, we've accumulated about 50 units, which is incredible for MLB. If you want to become a client, you can get access to that for $50 a month. You can also join, get access to all my plays, $100 a month to join. There's a link in the description box for that information if you want more. Thanks for watching this video. Give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.